Welcome. Thanks for joining me today. Today is day 16 as we read through the New Testament in 30 days. We've read Acts 15 through 21. Well, do you have to become a Jew in order to trust in Jesus? Do you have to keep the Old Testament law in order to be right, in right standing and pleasing to God? That was a major debate in the early church. Today we feel like that issue is settled and we don't really have to ask it as much. But in the early church, it was quite controversial. You see, many of the early Christians had been Jews, and as Gentiles came to trust in Jesus Christ, there was a big question about what needed to take place. Did they need to keep the Old Testament law in order to be a follower of Jesus in good standing? Well, in Acts chapter 15, the Christians get together and discuss this issue, and they say, no, God has revealed you do not have to keep the Old Testament law in order to be in good standing as a follower of Jesus Christ. You don't have to keep kosher. You don't have to offer the sacrifices. You don't have to have heritage background going to Abraham or any of those other sorts of things. And in fact, in Acts 15:19, James stands up and says this: "It is my judgment that we should not make it difficult for the Gentiles who are turning to God." I love how he says that. We shouldn't make it difficult for the Gentiles or for anyone who is coming to God. We shouldn't put any obstacles in the way. But you know what? I think sometimes we do. I think sometimes today we put some obstacles. And no, not trying to keep the Old Testament law. That's certainly an obstacle, but not really one that is a big deal today. I think there are some other obstacles we put in the way. Let me help you to consider 4 ways that we might make it hard for someone to believe in Jesus Christ. The first is that we keep Jesus a secret. We simply just don't tell others about Jesus, and we keep it to ourselves. Let's be faithful to share the good news. The second is that we use Jesus to back up what we want. We use him as a tool to back up our preferences. This happens a lot of time in politics where people co-opt Scripture and co-opt Jesus as the hero to back up whatever policy things that they want. Third is that we don't live like Jesus matters. We live as though he's unimportant to us, and so we do our own things in our own way, and we subtly tell the world that Jesus isn't important, not important enough to shape how I live at least. And finally, the fourth way that we put obstacles in the way of people to trust in Jesus is that we fail to love others as Jesus would love them. We're not proactive in loving and showing kindness and care to others. So are you putting any obstacles in the way of someone coming to Christ today? Let's check ourselves, and let's not make it difficult for them to trust in Jesus. Thanks for joining me. God bless.